all of you who listen to Submersion and own an Android device, go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android device. I personally use the app and I love it. I can search for the podcast I want to listen to, select it as a favorite, and have it just a click away. Make sure to select Submersion as a favorite so you don't miss any of our new episodes. Again, the app is the Podcast Republic app, available on Android devices.
Micropod.
Micropod number 2.
Well, episode 96, though.
It is episode 96, Micropod 2.
Woo.
Woo, 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 woo. And I'm pretty excited for this movie. I'm not going to lie. It's a great movie.
I think it could have.
Whatever. We'll get to that later.
It could have been a full episode, but I feel like it's an appropriate length for a micropod, and I'll get to that.
I would think so. And anyway, before we get into that, we need to talk about some stuff that went down tonight on a bowling night.
Right.
Absurd. So last week, I bowled like total trash. Had one of the worst games in 2 years that I've ever bowled.
Actually, I think it might be the worst game anyone's ever bowled.
Wow. All right.
Arguably.
It's not that bad. Not that bad. Close. Not that bad. Anyways, I came out this week. I did okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For the most part. 150, 174, trending upwards. 211.
211. And you're crushing it. And everyone would look around and be like, 211, amazing. Kyle,
wow,
we love
that
you.
Guy's going to win.
Yeah. They'd high five you. They kiss you on your lips. It's all good. Everything's great.
It didn't even feel like I did that. I got absolutely dominated. The guy I was playing against rolled like a 274 or something crazy. Not great.
You got crushed.
For me.
Yeah.
I did. Because I remember I walked away and I came back to the table and was like, I just rolled a 211. And somebody's like, wait, you did? It's like, yes.
Because we were all losing so badly, including you.
It didn't even matter.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sad now, actually.
Yeah. So as we all do with micropods, we talk about something that's happening last week. Kyle obviously is very passionate about bowling and he wanted to talk about that. I don't know. Did you watch or do anything? Video games, books, movies, TV shows, anything of interest for you this last week?
So actually, I guess next week I am getting a special edition Nintendo Switch for Animal Crossing.
Nice.
And so Switch came out 3 years ago, whatever, and I've just been playing Animal Crossing on my 3DS a lot lately, but then I was like, you know what? There are other games that I probably should enjoy. And so they have Luigi's Mansion 3 out there, and so I have been playing through. They remade Luigi's Mansion 1, and then they made a second one for the DS. And so I've been going through and trying to replay those. Get a little bit of, little fun gaming in my life. But
yeah, it's good. I remember that
nothing
first,
crazy.
That first Luigi's Mansion, that was GameCube, right? That was a Cube game.
Yes,
I think so.
Yeah, and they remade it for the 3DS.
That's good.
A little bit harder to control, but I mean,
I can see that.
Whatever. I don't have a GameCube anymore, so
that's a shame.
It is. How about you?
So me and my wife have been trying to do kind of watching more movies in the cinema because we're cinephiles, but also because every time we go to a movie, we're like, oh, we enjoyed that experience. But then we always find excuses not to go to the movies. So we're like, we're not going to, no more excuses. Cut that shit. So we've been trying to do at least one a month. And so last month was Little Women. Liked it, enjoyed it, thumbs up, good movie. This month, or I guess February, the month that just ended, was Call of the Wild, if you know that one, Kyle. It's like
Harrison Ford with the CGI dog?
Exactly, CGI dog. And that's what everyone knows about it, CGI dog, all that stuff. Okay, so
that's pretty much all I know about it, is I looked at it and I'm like, why did they make that dog CGI?
Exactly, and this is what I'm going to be talking about. So it's a solid movie, interesting, because it is pushing some boundaries technology-wise. Like, I feel like Brom was even talking about with Godzilla, like, we're getting to the point where we're almost to the point where we won't look back and be like embarrassed by the CGI of some of these movies. This one's probably not quite there. It does look a little silly here and there with the dog. But otherwise, I mean, at times you do kind of forget that it's a CGI dog. So that's fairly impressive that they're able to even get to that point, which is pretty good. Otherwise, not anything crazy about it, not really pushing too many boundaries with the story, pretty much a straight adaptation of the book. But that in itself is somewhat pushing boundaries because in the past, whenever they've done adaptations of Call of the Wild, they've shifted the focus onto the human rather than the dog, because obviously you can't have like a dog actor take on like 90% of a film. That'd be...
Unless it's animated.
Exactly. So that's another thing where like because they chose that, they're able to make something that's much closer to the book than anything previous. And so I thought that was kind of cool. Now, one thing that I did do as a result of this, look back on the other adaptations that have happened. So here there's been 4 major adaptations, including the one that I just watched. Harrison Ford's character was played by, in the previous films, Clark Gable, Charlton Heston, Rutger Hauer, and now Harrison Ford.
Wait, Rutger Hauer of No.
Nope.
Gosh, what movie was that?
Yeah, but that's the thing. What's
so bad? I'm so bad.
What's common about all these movies is Clark Gable.
Sub.
Run Silent, Run Deep. Charlton Heston.
Yes. Sub.
Grey Lady Down. Rutger Hauer.
Sub.
Hostile Waters. Harrison Ford.
The movie. Sub.
K-19 Widowmaker.
Oh,
all
my
submarine captains.
Goodness.
All of them. Isn't that crazy? The main character of all of the Call of the Wilds have been captains of submarines in cinema.
And there's only been 4 of these movies made?
Well, technically speaking, there's been a couple other ones. Like there's an anime. There's an anime one. Do you know who played the main character in that one, or the human in that one?
I don't know.
Bryan Cranston.
Really, sub movie.
I know, but he wasn't the submarine captain, so that kind of like
all right,
a monkey wrench into it. He was he was Emperor Palpatine.
He was.
Okay.
And he was also in a Godzilla movie, so
that's true. He was in a Godzilla movie, also not a submarine captain, or was he? Question mark. Could have been.
We don't know. Did he sabotage that Russian sub?
We didn't see all the backstory. He could have been a retired submarine captain. All right.
Very, very true.
And I think with that, we might be ready
to
dive into it. Dive.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the 8th wonder of the modern world. Mac East Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains Alex the Mustard Man, the artist formerly known as Brom, Jamie the Ointment, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion.
All right. So basically, I don't think we even mentioned it. Kyle, what did we watch this week for our micropod?
For this micropod, we got to watch the 2006 party instant classic Broken Lizard film, Beerfest.
Amazing. And I think we both own it, right?
I do not own a physical copy, but I am strongly considering it.
Oh, I could have. Okay. Well, would you get it from the library, man?
So I actually rented the super unrated version.
Oh, okay. So I'm
online,
not sure I have that.
Yeah, and did all that. But I do have a copy on my computer, but I would have had to do all kinds of fancy projecting and casting and whatnot. And I was trying to get my wife to watch it. Ultimately, that didn't end up happening.
Unsuccessful.
I know.
Probably for the best.
So I wasted $4, but whatever.
That's fine.
It's fine.
It's all fine.
They deserve it.
It's fine. It's fine. I said it's fine.
It's fine. I don't need it, guys. I'm not that hard up for cash yet. Maybe one day.
And so, yeah, we watched Beerfest. It's an amazing movie. And should I get into the recap?
I think you probably should.
Do you have a timer set?
I will in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so it's Beerfest. We open. Jan and Todd Wolfhouse, they mourn the death of their grandfather. He leaves him his German bar. They are tasked by their great-grandmother to go to Munich and return his ashes to the sacred family resting place. They oblige, obviously, because they hear, it's Oktoberfest, and they're ready to get over there and get drunk as We see all kinds of tits. It's all really great. And I put on some glasses and I looked at those, and they are already in this, like, everyone hates them. And so, like, they ruin Oktoberfest, but they're quickly whisked away and they're taken to the family location. Turns out that family location, it's actually where they host Beerfest, this drinking tournament with the Americans aren't even invited because they suck. Everyone hates them and no one likes them. The champions embarrass them, the Germans. And it turns out that they're actually family, that they are all like shitting on their family. All those American ones, they all suck. And they mess with them and they send them back to America, and they ruined their grandfather's ashes. They get back to America and they're like, vengeance, ever heard of it? And so they assemble a team. It consists of them two, a genius Fink, an eating champion Landfill, and Barry, the best drinking game player ever, and also a man whore that they find at Nurbridge. Anyways, they start to train and they have a lot to learn, but they learn to live and love, and they really start to bond, and everything is going super great. Especially when they discover their secret family recipe in like a doll that the grandfather left for them. And so that becomes wildly popular, and the Germans become enraged, and they come to steal the beer recipe in a submarine. Note that. And then they bust in. They can't get the recipe. So instead, they kind of ruin the bar. They ruin everything. They send in a mole to go grab the recipe. That mole ends up killing Landfill. Landfill is like tussling with her and gets thrown into a vat of beer. He dies. And everyone's like super sad and like, we can't possibly go to Beerfest. But it turns out that Landfill's brother shows up, Gil, and he's just like Landfill, and he wants to join. And then also their great grandmother is like, oh, I knew about the whole time, and you got to go, revenge. Come on. And so they join back up. They head to Munich. They head to Beerfest. They start crushing teams, including like the Swedes and the Irish or the English and all kinds of stuff. They beat all of them. They get to the finals. They're against the Germans. They get to a tie, and they're going to have to defeat Das Boot, this big like boot thing filled with beer. They actually get all the way to the end. They almost beat them, but then Gil / Landfill gets like tricked into failing, so they lose, and they do double for nothing. We 100% we can beat you. And then they go through it again, and by the skin of their teeth, they're able to win. And they win everything. They're super happy. They get the key to the German brewery, and the family name is wiped clean. And they celebrate by going to Amsterdam, where we are hinted at that they're going to get another movie called Weedfest that never actually occurred. The end.
You did that under time. I am impressed.
How much time was it?
You had 10 seconds left.
Wow. See? Yeah. I see. I feel like I honed that one. Last time I did it kind of on the fly. Didn't do so well. This time I honed it, really narrowed it down, got it going. Pretty good.
You did. You did pretty great. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It was great. James.
Thank you. So thumbs up, thumbs down by you guys. So you have 2 thumbs, I believe, right? You haven't lost your hand yet, right?
Not yet. It was close after bowling. There was a slight accident getting into my house, but I still have both thumbs.
Great. So you can do a thumbs up on the movie itself, or thumbs down.
Yes.
Thumbs up on the submarine portion of the film, or thumbs down. What do you think?
All right. I got to preface all this. So Beerfest is a movie that obviously I've seen before. I even have a glass drinking boot because I saw this movie and I thought, wow, I need that. And my wife got it for me, I think for Christmas or something like that. I get all these weird things for Christmas and I love it. So I have one of those. Love it. And I used to just sit in our apartment when we were married very early on. I think she put on a chick flick and the boot would hold like 4 or 5 beers, and I'd sit there and just drink a boot while she would watch these movies. And I know I'm a winner, guys. I'm a role model.
Yeah.
And now when I sit down and watch this movie, it is so much better because I am around the age when they are forming the drinking team. And it's so much funnier to me because you look at these guys who are like, oh yeah, we used to be drinking so hard. We could do it. We can do it. No problem. And they really struggle. And I think they're even at a house party at one point and the cops show up and some kid, and they're all hiding in the bushes. Somebody's like, what are you, 40? The guy's like, I'm 32, and he just like walks away.
That was really funny because he looks considerably older than I am, and I'm older than 32. And I was like,
right,
oh,
I know
boy.
He does look older, and I think he is. But yeah. That cracked me up because I'm like, okay, that's like whatever. That's what's going on right now. And so the drinking games, all that stuff, so good. I think this movie is done so well. It's so funny. It's stupid, but it's so funny. Everything in it is hilarious. I wish I could just use both my hands. I give it 2 thumbs up. I love this movie. Sub scene, absolutely necessary. The Germans, who, by the way, have just over-the-top accents that are cracking me up the whole time. I don't even... it's just so goofy. Anyway, their grandfather is somebody that you might not recognize his name. Jürgen Prochnow. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrect in one way or another. If you're not familiar with German cinema, you may not recognize that name. However, if you're familiar with the podcast, you might recognize that name as the captain of Das Boot. And so at a point, he's like, we got to get out of the sub. I've had a bad experience in one time. And I was just cracking up because we know what happened. And there's another moment in the movie so 2 thumbs up to that scene. Another moment in the movie where I just lost it. I was laughing out loud so hard is when they very first meet Badgernath, the all-time drinking champion, Barry. And he's trying to play quarters off the hood of a car. And he's really struggling. And he's there with all these other male prostitutes underneath the bridge. And there's this one guy. And so Antonio has this wild afro. His hair looks absolutely insane. He's wearing this like just tank top belly shirt. And a quarter flies off the car. And he and another male prostitute get into a struggle. And he picks up that quarter. He's like, I'm just like, what the hell was that? Yeah. And he just looks so strung out. It's so great. So I don't know. If I had 10 thumbs, I'd give it 10 thumbs up. I have 2. I'll give it 2 thumbs up.
I was actually going to mention that Barry Badgernath scene because I think it truly is. There's a lot in this movie that you could look at and be like, this is dumb, like whatever. Like, and there's a lot of movies that I really laughed at and really love that I recognize are dumb, like Hot Rod, Grandma's Boy. Mm-hmm. These movies are not well regarded. They are obviously very stupid in a lot of parts of it, but there were also large chunks of it that I really, really, really love. And that Barry Badgernath scene is just like, it's so good. Every moment of it is so good.
It's ridiculous.
There's a lot of this movie that's kind of like that. So I definitely gave it a thumbs up. I forgot how hilarious it was. There's a lot of really bad stuff in it. I even think like whole characters are not very funny, but like large swaths of the movie are just like so good and so hilarious that I just have to give it a pass. So I definitely give a thumbs up to that. And I kind of agree with the submarine too. Like I think it's a well-placed joke in the movie. There's a lot of aspects to that joke, which I'll get to in my next portion of it. But I got to give that a thumbs up too. I mean, it even lasted longer than one would normally think for something that was just like a throwaway, whatever. So I
mean, this lasted longer than a lot of the movies that we had for Does This Need a Sub?
I think that's probably right. Definitely lasted longer than something like the Jackie Chan film, for sure, right?
Well, First Strike, yes. Way longer than that.
All right. Should I get into my who, what, where, when, why?
Whoa. You give a thumbs up to both?
Thumbs up? Thumbs up both.
Watch this movie. Watch this movie.
I agree.
And then, okay, you get into your stuff.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with why, just kind of do a little meditation on why we think that this submarine was in the movie in the first place. I think it, first and foremost, is there purely as a joke, which I appreciate. I think it's good when a movie takes big swings like this on certain aspects. This is obviously like a set piece. It's, kind of a play on the actor being in there, although I did read something that said that the joke was written before he was cast. So it's not something that they were like, oh, we've got this captain from Das Boot, we got to write a submarine thing. It was already there before he was cast. And so I like big swings like that. I like them trying risky stuff to say, this is for a joke. And that's kind of what I appreciate about certain movies like Anchorman and this movie as well, where everything's for a laugh and they don't really take too much seriously. There's no like love story. There's no like any real serious aspect to it at all. Even the end, they just kind of jump around being like, hooray, we won. And so like the submarine is purely there for that. For the Who, obviously Jürgen Prochnow, the patriarch, is the captain of the boat, and he's from Das Boot. But we also do get a little bit of clarity on the other jobs that the sons are doing on the boat. I did appreciate that one of them was holding a wrench, and
I totally forgot to bring that up.
Yeah.
Just sitting there, the whole scene, holding a wrench. I mean, that is a staple. And you know they had to have a meeting. They're like,
yeah.
Well, what's in a sub movie? Well, everybody's got a wrench.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll put that in there.
That's exactly. It tells you the effort that they were going to make sure what they were doing made sense. They weren't just saying, "Oh, we're just gonna have a submarine, like whatever." Like that set was really nice. You see that person holding that wrench, and I'm like, I'm in. Here we go. Like I'm.
All right, I know, right?
There we go. And then it's kind of interesting because in the previous one, you couldn't have said too much. Like a Lara Croft movie, you couldn't tell too much about like the submarine and what it was. You could say it's probably nuclear because of how huge it was and all that stuff. But on this one, we actually do see. Did you see the label?
I did not.
So on the wall of the U-boat, it's labeled U-922. And that is actually a real submarine. It never got really off the production line. It was commissioned in 1943, and then in 1945, it was part of an operation in an effort to avoid surrender as the Allies were closing in. The Germans started to scuttle all their submarines because obviously they had produced a huge number of submarines, even all the way to the end of the war. And so they started to scuttle a whole bunch of submarines. U-922 was one of those that was scuttled. It was sunk in 1945, I think, and then brought up in 1947 and taken apart or something like that. But I don't know if that was a joke that they knew, like, oh, this was one that was scuttled. Maybe we're implying that it wasn't really scuttled, that, it still ended up in Germany, but, or if it was just they painted a number on the wall or whatever. But it's interesting to read about the background of that.
If they had just randomly painted a number on the wall, kudos to them.
Yeah, for landing on.
For picking that number. I mean, that is... just shows the detail. I mean, from this group you look at the Broken Lizard group and you don't necessarily think, oh, we're going to like really delve in. A lot of the jokes, seem like surface humor stuff, but something like that you'd have to really dig into like you've done. It's great. I mean, it shows the level that they're going to. Yeah.
And then where? It's funny because it's in Colorado, so that's where everything is set, is in Colorado. And so the submarine's actually in a lake next to the restaurant that they own. And so apparently they brought a submarine into a lake to try to steal their recipe. And then when? It's actually longer on the screen than you would think. It's on there for 90 seconds, almost on the nose. 90 seconds being about 1/80th of the film. So actually greater than 1% of this film is a submarine film.
I like that. I like that a lot. That feels
significant.
It sure does.
Yeah. And that's all I got.
You get the Das Boot captain on the screen, which is pretty darn good.
So you know what? Let's just scrap this episode. Let's make it a full episode.
All right. Let's do it right now. We're going to extend it.
All right. Take your headphones off.
Okay. All right. So anyways, last Micropod, Patrick did something that could be considered one of the greats.
It's revolutionary.
One of the great things that has happened in submersion. He dove into the J archive and said, hey, we've got some questions. There were 3 of us. Right now, there's only 2 of us. Right. I do have questions, but they're all going to be to Jamie. And
so, my knowledge.
You better get ready. When I went into the J archive and looked up beer, there's a lot. There is a ton. So I specifically drilled into episode number 4,670, aired in 2004, December 17th. And the category is called Lager Rhythms.
Okay. Logarithms. I appreciate the math pun. Good.
I know, right? So, numbers 2, 4, 6, 8. Those are
I see. 200, 400, 800.
And 600. Don't forget about that one.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yes. So, yes. Go for it. You let me know what you want to start with.
I'm going to start off easy. Let's do 200.
Okay. Watney's Red Barrel and Newcastle Brown Ale are 2 popular beers from this country.
England.
Great
Britain.
Correct.
Okay, sorry. I thought for a second you were going to be
Stick with the first answer. Okay. Stick with the first answer.
Okay.
200 to Jamie.
I'm going to jump up to 800.
Oh, here we go. This beer, quote, that made Milwaukee famous, unquote, became famous after donating kegs to Chicagoans after the Great Fire.
Is that Miller?
It is not.
I feel awful.
The answer is Schlitz.
Oh, see, I wouldn't have known that was necessarily from Milwaukee just because I feel like it's maybe gotten a little bit more national. It's harder to tell. Schlitz. Okay.
I don't know if I've ever actually drank a Schlitz.
I do not believe I have, actually. Yeah. And now I feel like a little embarrassed. I feel like I'm embarrassing myself. So I'm going to go back to 400.
Okay. This one should be quite easy for you. Beer, like red wine, can protect your heart by lowering the bad type of this.
Cholesterol.
Yes, sir.
Yes. See, I work in the medical field, so that would have been extra embarrassing.
There we go.
All right, I'm going to jump back up to 1,000 because I'm feeling really good. I'm like sowing my oats. I'm feeling like real strong. I'm feeling my muscles.
Well, for 1,000, I have something that is not even included in the Jeopardy episode. I don't know if you want that or not.
What does that mean?
This goes 2, 4, 6, 8. Not 1,000.
Oh, so there wasn't even 1,000 that was listed?
No, there's not.
Oh, well, I guess I'd
So I'm going to take you to 600.
Just do 600, sure, yeah.
In 1988, after an over 70-year ban, this European country allowed the brewing and selling of strong beer.
Wow, that's an interesting...
And I did leave out one word that I think would give it away. So
wait, so hold on a second. So you left out a word that was given to contestants to make it harder for me?
Yes, I think you're that good.
Yeah, man. I mean, I left a lot of open air there, but oh boy.
Okay, you want me to give you the word?
Yes.
Island.
Say it again. Whole thing.
Island.
Say the whole thing again.
In 1988, after an over 70-year ban, this European island country allowed the brewing and selling of strong beer. Of strong beer.
That's interesting. 1988? So you'd think it'd have to be something like Iceland.
You are correct.
Yeah. See, that's the only
That's
island.
why I left out Ireland. That's why I left out Ireland.
Yeah, because you couldn't possibly say Ireland, because obviously Guinness is like
right
a mainstay. Like it would be ridiculous if they were like, I guess you can't brew Guinness. And then 1988, they're like Guinness, and then all of a sudden we're alive and everyone knows Guinness. That wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
But Iceland,
yes,
that's interesting because I guess I'm trying to think. I think I've drank a beer from Iceland, but it would have been more. I think it would be more from like the big boom that happened in the 2000s of all the different breweries and beers and stuff like that.
And, well, there you go. You got most of them, Jamie.
All right.
Not all.
Quick question, quiz for you as we finish up this episode. What's your favorite type of beer?
My favorite type of beer?
Yeah.
So, my favorite...
Summer Shandy?
I don't... No, all right. That is one I drink often, but my favorite type is a Celebrator Doppelbock. By far my favorite. I drink that like when something... good has happened. I get those.
Celebrator Doppelbock. That's a good choice.
It is the one with the little goat. It's got the goat around the neck of the bottle on a string.
Yeah, so I it's interesting to try to think of like what my favorite. I mean, I'm very much a dark beer person, although I do like IPAs quite a bit, especially lately. I kind of go in phases. Like sometimes I'm more into Belgian beers, sometimes I'm more into IPAs, sometimes I'm more into darker ones. I think I cut my teeth on the darker beers in college and stuff like that. And the one that I used to go to as you say, celebratory, the one that I'd buy was kind of be like, you know what, cheers. The one that I bought when I turned 21 with my brother, Patrick, was a Simberkoff Porter, which is a Finland beer. And
not a typical 21-year-old beer.
No, we'd eyed it, and we had eyed the shop that we bought it from. It was owned by a Russian, and he kind of recommended it. He said this is a true story. He said he had diabetes, and he's not supposed to drink beer, but he would occasionally have that beer because he said fuck it.
It's worth
for that one beer. Yeah. So it's a Baltic Porter, and I don't know I'm not sure I can really find it around here. I haven't had it since I was, out east. But yeah, it used to be the one that I'd get to celebrate and stuff like that.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And one more thing before we go, real quick. This is something outside of Jeopardy, but I think we all should know. And I just need to tell you, JB, I was looking at this. I was looking at Beerfest on Amazon at the physical copy, the Blu-ray. So Where do you think this movie ranks? There's 2 categories I'm going to give you. I just want you to give, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's greater than 250. So where do you think this movie rates in terms of comedies and sports movies as of Monday, March 2nd, a few days ago? The ranks change all the time, but where do you think this movie ranks in those 2 categories?
16th.
For which one? They're 2 separate ratings.
Oh, sorry. For sports, I think it's probably 50th. For comedies, I think it's probably 50th.
Okay. You'd be off. Comedies, it was rated 200.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
And 6th. Sports, number 8.
What?
Yes. Blew my mind. You want to know the other 7?
Sure.
All right. I'll do these fast. Real Steel.
Okay.
Talladega Nights. Caddyshack. Creed. Dodgeball, a true underdog story. Overcomer. And Super Bowl champs Kansas City Chiefs video.
Oh, fuck that.
Thank you for listening to Submersion. Don't forget to subscribe for new episodes every Thursday. If you like what you heard, please leave us a rating wherever you listen. Want to interact with us? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also love to get messages from all of you. If you have a suggestion, a comment, or just anything you'd like to share, please email us at macestudios@gmail.com.